Cambridge Pharma Consultancy was a specialist management consultancy to the pharmaceutical industry. We were known globally for our expertise in pricing pharmaceutical products.
Our client base included companies like Pfizer, Merck, Eli Lilly, GlaxoSmithKline. By the time we sold the business, it was about 110 people, with offices in Cambridge and an office in New York.
It had been quite a ride over 13 years, but we were getting to a stage where we thought, well, what are we going to do that's going to be so different?
We sort of came to terms with the idea that selling the business was an option, and then started the process more actively.
We'd been disappointed by the approaches taken by the range of advisors we'd looked at. The major investment banks weren't going to give us the senior level input that we felt we deserved.
Our accounting firms were very useful in helping us through the financial management of our business, but they really do not have the expertise of an investment banker. We were so unimpressed by what was on offer that we had decided not to engage a financial advisor.
An entrepreneur is used to doing quite a lot of negotiations normally. They're involved in buying and selling, they're involved in running a business. But the negotiations on selling the business are of a different order.
When you're selling a company, you are likely to be selling it to a significantly bigger company who's done several deals before. They are likely to have a process, they're likely to have a set of strategies that they employ. Without good advisors, you don't.
I don't think you can exaggerate the degree of stress and disruption that selling a business can cause you. I think that a good financial advisor can certainly reduce that level of stress. They can talk you through what's likely to happen. They can lay out in advance the various stresses that are going to come up. So when they come up, you don't feel that you're facing them as a unique experience. You know that other people have gone through them.
I knew that at JP Morgan, David had set up and run the sell-side services for the firm. In doing that, he had accumulated a lot of expertise that would be useful to us and had a lot of successes under his belt. So Lindsay and I met with him and decided to engage him.
Well, I first came across Joe and Lindsay through one of my partners, and I was very pleased to hear that David was advising them on the prospective sale of the business. Knowing the way that small businesses work, as well as big businesses, he can bring the experience from a big business into selling a small business.
When we brought David in, we already had one offer on the table. We brought him in to help us improve on that offer. A major concern on our part was that if we entered discussions with companies who could buy us, they were also our competitors, and they could poach our people rather than buy the company.
We had to try and address their concern, which was to protect the confidentiality of the business while getting competition in. And that was done by putting in a very strict non-hire clause into the confidentiality agreement that any buyer would have to sign.
We created an environment where we could start discussions with multiple buyers. From a single offer, we went through over a dozen potential buyers.
We ended up with 3 or 4 close to final bids.
The challenge is, how do you get the buyer to pay more? And that was one of the things that Shield was very instrumental in helping us achieve.
Entrepreneurs, naturally enough, focus very much on the value of their own business as a standalone entity, whereas valuation has a lot to do with the value of the combination of the business with the buyer's business. And that combination can be worth a tremendous amount relative to standalone value.
The result that we got for the sale of our business was outstandingly better than we ever imagined. Through a disciplined process, we ended up selling the business for over 3 times what the original first offer we had for the business was.
We were very struck by the quality of our team and how well we all worked together. And I know that made an impression on the people who were acquiring us, because they commented on the calibre and the quality of our advisors.
The quality of the advisors you put in front of a buyer actually in itself increases the value of the business. They take you more seriously. Here we were, a small company with sort of $15 million in sales, selling to $1 billion New York Stock Exchange quoted company, and the quality of our advisors was significantly better than theirs.
Paradoxically, I think using a financial advisor for a sale of a smaller business is more important than the sale of a larger business, because most entrepreneurs don't know the market in buying and selling businesses, what the tricks are, what the points to take are, and how to approach it. It's an area where the frankly, they need guidance, both in terms of valuation and in terms of process, and that's the sort of expertise that Shield will bring to the party.
It's a sort of jigsaw puzzle of multiple components that Shield helped us put together. And this was a jigsaw puzzle that we sort of never imagined existed.
I can certainly think of one time when we were negotiating the value of the working capital which would be left in the business, and the advisors to the other party suggested a range of figures. It was a 10-fold range. This had a huge potential impact on the amount of money we would be able to take out of the business. We were so grateful that we had David and his team working with us, and that they had already gone through many iterations and many different methodologies for calculating the value of working capital.
We looked carefully at the pattern of working capital use over previous years and had our ammunition ready for this debate, which is bound to come, about the appropriate level of working capital. And the price adjustment in this deal amounted to well over 10% of the total value that we were able to help Joe and Lindsay extract from the deal.
When you're getting pressed and things are getting tense, the temptation is to feel you mustn't lose this deal and to accept everything that's put ahead of you. But with David's advice on the negotiation, we actually walked out and said, we're just not accepting these terms. Once you've reconsidered, we'll talk again. We just couldn't have done that on our own.
If you don't take a deal to the brink and know how to recover from the brink if things go wrong, you never know how much you can really achieve.
After the weekend cooling off period, the buyers came back with much more reasonable set of conditions.
I think what Shield achieved for Joe and Lindsay was a spectacular result, and on terms which couldn't be faulted.
It's a systematic, leaving no stone unturned, that will, one way or another, on every deal, produce remarkable results.
Hiring Shield was probably one of the best decisions we ever made. Having built a business for a period of 12, 13 years, in the last 3 months, through a disciplined negotiating process, we managed to triple its value.